Today, we are going to talk about a very serious reason that you need to pay attention to and the reason that you need to quit alcohol right now. This is something that I overlooked for many years and I didn't think was true. I didn't think it was happening to me. I didn't think it would happen to me. However, this is something that plagued my life in a big way, and as of yet, I haven't heard it talked about a lot in alcohol circles. So I think this is going to be an interesting one. We're going to talk about this one thing that makes you need to quit alcohol right now. Terry, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. And that one thing, it definitely was a factor in me having to quit alcohol. Absolutely.
Cool. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, on the thumbnail there, I said it made me stupid. Well, was I really stupid? Well, maybe I still am actually, but alcohol really made me make a lot of really bad decisions. That's for sure. So I made a lot of stupid decisions. Do I still make them now? Probably, but I'm not nearly as bad as I used to be. And the real fact of the matter is, in all seriousness, a lot of my decisions when I was drinking alcohol were very detrimental to not just myself but my family and really society in general. I would just do a lot of bad things, and that's what I find with a lot of people that have a problem with alcohol, and some people that don't necessarily have a problem with alcohol. Is alcohol does cause a lot of problems, and alcohol is a poison, and that's what we're putting into our body. And when we drink enough of it, our body becomes accustomed to it. We become chemically dependent, and that's where things really start to go downhill quickly. At least they did for me, and I've seen it happen for many people as well. And that's really what it is for me. Is it was just a multitude of bad decisions, and then for me the consequences started to happen, and they happened more and more frequently, and they became worse and worse. And some people don't necessarily have those consequences that you can quantify, like the legal problems, the money problems, the relationship problems. But people that do become dependent on alcohol, they may have just problems with their self-esteem. Maybe they're not getting up to their potential. I remember hearing that a lot. Was yeah, Terry's great, but he just doesn't get up to his potential. He's not accomplishing the things that he's capable of accomplishing, and things like that. And that's what alcohol did for me. It kind of pushed me down, made me just be happy with where I was. And if I wasn't accomplishing the things I wanted to, I just lowered the bar and just, that's okay. I don't need to do that. I don't need to become the executive chef of the big hotel. I'll just stay where I'm at right now and just learn to be comfortable with where I'm at. And that was kind of the case with me.
Yeah.
So how about you, Marcus? What did it do for you or to
Well,
you?
mine was the opposite. I wasn't lethargic about what I wanted to do, but I beat myself up over it. So I would have goals and I would have who I wanted to be. And with drinking, I wasn't able to be that person. I wasn't able to build and grow in business and stuff like that. And I didn't know that that is what was keeping me back, which was difficult because here I was. I'm like, okay, Terry said it made him feel stupid or whatever. And for me, I didn't know what it was. I would beat myself up because I thought, okay, why am I not doing what I really know I need to do to get where I really want to be? Because, when I was drinking, the bills and the stuff was mounting up, and I wasn't paying attention to the business the way I could. I wasn't making as much as I could. I wasn't as effective as I could be. I wasn't happy. And I didn't want to blame it on alcohol because I didn't think that was the case. I thought that if I fixed my life, then the alcohol thing would be a non-issue, which a lot of people think. They think, oh, hey, you know what? If I fix this issue with my spouse, then I won't drink anymore because every time I argue with her, I drink. Therefore, the drinking must be because she is arguing with me. And that could not be further from the truth. To blame drinking on something external once you're an alcoholic is like trying to get the sun to not be dark. or not be bright, right? And we look at that and we're like, okay, why is this working this way? And I had to really submit to the fact that, okay, alcohol is making me not able to function in a real way, even though I am a high functioning alcoholic and I do run a business and life is seemingly working. I wasn't getting DUIs every 5 minutes. I wasn't, doing all this stuff. It wasn't obvious on the outside, but I did know my personal, what I wanted, and I knew I wasn't able to live up to it. And I knew that I had to figure something out. And I thought it was therapy. I thought it was getting my mind right. I thought it was all this other stuff, when in actuality, once I took the alcohol out, I thought that when I got sober, I remember when I went into rehab, I was ready. I was like, okay, we're going to talk about these things from my past and my life and all this stuff. And then I get to rehab, and it's basically a 24-hour-a-day class on not drinking and what alcohol does to the body and how it works. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, don't we need to fix all this other stuff? And it was funny because it kind of fixed itself as time went on. It wasn't something I had to really work at. It just fixed itself. It became a non-issue, which meant, what was the real issue? Alcohol was the real issue.
Yeah, and that's not to say that we don't have other issues in our life that we have to deal with, and other issues. Maybe there's some other mental issues as well, and people may have other things that they need to deal with. But for me, and what I've seen so many times is that getting the alcohol out of the picture is the first thing, and that right there will fix many of the problems, and some of those problems that maybe we need professional help with, or that we need legal help with, or whatever. Then we can approach those problems with a clear mind, and we can start to move forward in accomplishing what we need to accomplish. And that's what I've seen so much, and that's what my experience was as well. Is once that alcohol came out of the picture, I was able to deal with the other things. And for me, I was very fortunate in the fact that I kind of didn't really have much of a life when I got sober. So I was able to kind of start with a clean slate. And that's what I did. And yes, I had some ongoing consequences from my drinking that I did have to deal with, but I was able to deal with them, and I was able to get the right help. If I continued drinking with those consequences, I wouldn't have dealt with them. I wouldn't have wanted to talk to the people I needed to talk to help me out of the situations. And since I did stop drinking, I was able to approach those people, not be worried about, oh, do they realize that I've been drinking or whatever. And so that I was able to move forward and take care of those situations and deal with them with a clear mind. Yes, there was fear, absolutely. But I was able to deal with them and get through that fear. Alcohol, I thought when I was drinking, I would drink to kind of push some of those fears that I had down. And yeah, it helped right then and there, but maybe just for that evening. Then the next day, those fears would come back even stronger. And that was what I experienced. It was a horrible thing when wake up the next morning and here's all those problems, and they're even worse because I didn't start to deal with them. And so that was an eye-opening thing. But it was also freeing once I was able to get sober and stay sober, that now I was free, and I still am, free to do what I want. If I'm not accomplishing a goal or something, it's on me. I can't blame it on anything else. And yeah, that can be kind of hard, but at the same time, I'm able to get out of it now. I'm able to deal with this situation and take care of things that I need to take care of. It's important. And I did want to say welcome all our regulars. Good to see you all again. Marilyn and Dave, JC, Missile, Silo. Great to see you guys all. And if I missed any of you, sorry. But yeah, good to see you here today.
All right. I think that was a quick talk about that subject. So if anyone has any questions or anyone struggling with anything, let us know. Or even if you have something that you want to share that has helped you stay sober, type that in the box. You never know who it might help. I know they often say in recovery meetings that you never know who your stuff might help, and it might just be you. I think that's the saying. I don't know. It's something like that. But
No,
it could be,
definitely. But
yeah.
our title's why you really must quit alcohol now, and there are there's actually lots of reasons, and alcohol um, statistics of like crime and relationship problems like well, abuse and things like that. Those statistics, alcohol is related in a very high percentage of those things that happen in society, and that's really one big reason. For those that don't feel that you're dependent on alcohol, and maybe you're just checking us out to see, alcohol affects everybody. It affected me before I felt that I was addicted to alcohol, or before it was even a problem, or before I even was drinking too much or heavily, what a doctor would describe as heavily. It affected me, and just a couple of drinks will affect you. I mean, that's why do you think they have the drinking and driving laws? It doesn't take much, and it doesn't take somebody to be dependent on it for it to become a problem. And it is a dangerous thing. Alcohol will affect every cell in our body, and it's linked to many diseases, and it's just a bad thing all around. And I'm not saying it needs to become illegal or anything like that. I think everybody is free to choose what they want to do. For me, alcohol is just not an answer at all. It never was, even though I thought it was. It never was. It just pushed me down a rabbit hole that I wasn't able to get out of for the longest of time. But yeah, you guys give me some questions. Let me
Yeah,
know
throw
what's
some
on your mind.
questions in.
Missile Silas says, when someone wants to drink with me, I think to myself, do I really want to act like an idiot and feel like crap? No, thanks. Yeah, I hear you. It's like for me going to a party or something where alcohol is being served, and now that I'm sober, I still get invited sometimes, not as often as I used to, but you know, going to those parties, what I do nowadays is I'll show up pretty much on time. I'm not fashionably late. I'm kind of usually the one of the first people there, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. And then usually there's a dinner or something like that involved, and stick around for the dinner and maybe dessert, that sort of thing. But after that, people start to really they've had their second and their third ones, and they're starting to feel the alcohol a little bit, and it's the conversations just aren't very intriguing anymore. And I always say, when people start dancing on tables, it's time for me to leave. And maybe they're not necessarily dancing on tables, but I'm sure you all know what I mean. Where you kind of get this vibe at an event or a party or whatever, and for me, that's when it's time to leave. I don't need to be there anymore, and I don't go around and say goodbye to every single person that I know in there. I tell the host and maybe a couple other key people, thank you very much. It was very enjoyable, and I'm gonna go. And so a lot of times, they may, oh, come on, stick around, and no, it's then they maybe say, oh, I got to get up early in the morning, or I have something I need to go do, and it's just as simple as that. There's no reason to explain to people.
Absolutely. And Cecilia says, when people see me having a good time in dance clubs with no alcohol, they're fascinated and wanting to know more about me, LOL. And that's true. I think that when we quit alcohol, we have this idea that we're going to be these boring, stoic 90-year-olds. And that's not really the case. And there's actually a lot of 90-year-olds who are a lot of, energetic, which is cool. But what I noticed is that I actually learned to have more fun. See, what alcohol does is it takes down the voice in your head that judges you. That's why we like it. Because it's like, oh, I could shut that off and I can go do what I want. I can shut that off and I can go ask the girl or guy to dance or whatever it is. Right? It dampens that. And what happens is when you quit drinking, you learn, well, I made it through alcoholism, which is a pretty big deal. Like, I always tell myself, well, I got this difficult thing to go through. Well, it's not a mental hospital and rehab and alcoholism, so I could probably get through it, right? There's a few things that might top that list, but I don't think so. And we realized that, hey, you know what? We actually are fun. Like the fun that you had with alcohol was you. It wasn't the alcohol. The alcohol's not fun. It just sits in a bottle until someone drinks it, and then you act like an idiot. Without knowing, you act like an idiot because the little voice is gone and it's not there to tell you, hey, don't dance on that table. It is probably dangerous while you're drinking. But you notice that you can have a lot of fun without it. Just I think it was last weekend, me and my wife went to a concert and we were dancing and having a good time. And, I had, because after years of being sober, I decided to start having true 0% alcohol beers, and they had them there. And I was like, okay, I get to hold my fake beer and dance around, and it was fun. Or if they didn't have it, I could have gotten a Coke. Or my wife doesn't drink at all. She had water. And, you realize that the fun is you. It's not the alcohol. If it was, everyone could leave the bar and the alcohol would still be dancing. But it doesn't. The alcohol just sits there and waits for people to overpay for it, and that's it. But attributing fun and good thoughts and good times to alcohol is just because it was around during that time. There are people that grew up and, you might have gone to the lake. And for me, we went to the lake when I was growing up, and we'd always go boating, and there was a certain smell of gas that the boat puts off. I don't know why it's different than car gas, but it just smells different. And every time I smell that, it reminds me of my childhood, and I start to feel feelings and think thoughts that were back then, and it was fun time. Right? There's also interesting times as well, which you've heard if you've been on this channel more than 5 minutes. But you start to realize, hey, wait a minute. It's not the alcohol. It's the association with the alcohol. And like Terry said, sometimes you go to a party and it starts to turn sour because everyone's getting drunk and nobody remembers anything. And up until that point, what happened? Was it the alcohol? No. It was people getting together and having a good time and loosening up. And you don't need alcohol to have that happen. That is a big myth. I learned early on in sobriety, I would go places because I was the kind of drunk that if Terry met me and I went to Terry's party, he might have known because he's also an alcoholic, but I was the kind of person who had to have 9 drinks to be able to go to the party. Like I had to be pretty messed up to be able to go somewhere. I remember I had a friend, he's a pastor friend of mine, a really good guy, and we would go get ales. That was our thing because, we'd go and talk about philosophy and drink ale. And I remember when I got sober, he's like, I never would have known you were an alcoholic. And I was like, well, that's because you didn't know I already had 5 or 6 before I came and had lunch with you at 12 in the afternoon. And he's like, you had 5 or 6? I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought I had to do to be able to function. And then later I found out you don't. You just go there and you're uncomfortable for 5 minutes and then it drops down. Happens everywhere. But because for so many years, uncomfortable feeling, drink, feeling drops down, we attribute it to the drink. Has nothing to do with it. It's like saying it quenches your thirst. No, it doesn't. It's full of alcohol. It depletes your body of stuff you need. It doesn't. All these things are lies. And I'm tired of seeing people get lied to by alcohol because you're giving it all of the props that are yours. You're funny. You're entertaining. You can have a good time. You can loosen up and not have that voice. All you have to do is stop paying attention. Because once we stop paying attention, we say, well, whose voice is that in my head that's telling me I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, I'm not good enough? Whose voice is it? I didn't put it there. I wasn't born and be like, hey, you know what? I think I need some negative thoughts. No, it just happened. It just happens. So now we just make it unhappen and we stop paying attention to it and we say, I can be me and I don't need alcohol to tell me that I can go and do what I want to do. And that goes to what Terry was saying earlier with, he would settle for a less version of himself.
Yeah.
And that's difficult because I did the same thing, and it was difficult because I had to settle. It wasn't like I was like, oh, well, I give up. It was like, I literally can't do this and I don't know why. And now I do. It was because I was drinking. And in rehab, they talked about the built-in forgetter that makes you forget the bad things alcohol does. And we only remember the good. I remember dancing on the table. I don't remember falling off of it, right? I don't remember getting in a fight with people over stupid politics that don't matter. I don't remember this or that or whatever. And I only remember the one things that I remember. And it's funny because Terry remembered probably in rehab where we were talking about cooking. And I love cooking. I just ordered some new books the other day, or they're supposed to be here today. And I absolutely love it. And I thought that when I drank, I was a better cook than I actually was because, you know, when you drink, you have a propensity to leave the shit on the pan too long and almost gets the house on fire. Not a good combo. But I realized, like, you know what? No, it's my ability that makes the stuff good. It's not the alcohol. And I thought, oh, with a glass of wine, I cook way better. No, you're just drunk, so you don't know the difference, right? And now, I mean, I can't even tell you how much better, in my opinion, I like my stuff, I've gotten in the last 9 years, because now it's like, oh, hey, I don't have to scramble to cook at 7 o'clock when everyone's hungry. I could start it in the day because I'm not hosed, you know? But yeah, it makes life so much better, but it lies and says it's probably not going to. But in actuality, I can attest to it, almost 10 years sober. Terry can attest to it, life's way better. I would never want to go back.
And, you know, there's little things like the energy level.
Oh, yeah.
I remember soon after I got sober, a friend approached me and asked me, hey, you want to start helping me cater? And so I helped her cater. She owned a little catering business. And it was interesting. I went and I was catering and, you know, did some jobs with them and stuff. And they'd all have some drinks. You know, pretty much they might have one while they're catering and while the event's going on. But then towards the end, then it's let's have a couple more and maybe I'll do a big old strong martini or something. And it was just sort of interesting to me. The first thing I noticed was, okay, we've been working for 7-8 hours on our feet. Catering's hard stuff because you got to move everything. So carrying heavy things and stuff like that. And it gets towards the end and I'm like, all right, let's clean up. Let's go. They're all sitting. They're all tired and burned out because they've been drinking the whole time. And I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So, you know, that was interesting. And you had mentioned the concert thing. And for me, yeah, I went to a concert and the band that I saw is renowned for substances. And I went to the show and I was like, how is this going to be? And it was great, and I remembered it. That's the thing, is how many concerts have we all gone to? And, you know, sure, oh yeah, I saw this person. Did you really remember the show real well? And I can tell you, there's a lot that maybe I didn't remember so well. I might have remembered parts of it, but I couldn't list you the songs or anything like that. And it's just those little things that are incredible in sobriety. And Gianmarco, congratulations on 101 days, and Cecilia 815. That's awesome, and all the rest of you that have gotten some sober time under your belt. That's awesome. And if you're trying to get sober, you can get there. I didn't think I could get there. Absolutely not. Didn't know how, but you can. You can get sober. And for me, it was you know, learning how to put that bottle down and not pick it up again. It's pretty easy for us to quit. Sometimes it's more difficult. You do need some doctor's help, so make sure you do it safely. But for me, once I was able to quit, and then I learned how to stay stopped, and that was just taking alcohol completely off of the table. And Marcus has put up our website right there, and on there you could join our program. We have a 30-day program, and it goes over many things on how to stay stopped drinking alcohol. And for me, it's a matter of learning how to live a life where alcohol is no longer an issue. And that's what it is for me. It's not an issue anymore at all. And whether it's in front of me or not, it's neither here nor there. And that's what we try to teach people in our program, because, you know, you're never going to be able to avoid alcohol completely, but you don't have to drink it. And you can be successful at that. So you can get a private call with myself and Marcus And if you do sign up just for our program, you can get a little call with me where I can check in and we can see how you're doing on your journey towards sobriety, and maybe I can help guide you in the right direction. We also have a Facebook group you can join, and join that. That's free. Just check it out, and there's lots of people that are on the same journey as you are, and they can give you advice on what they did, and maybe you can help them as well.
Absolutely. And thanks for that. And you guys can go over to talksober.com. It helps out what we're doing here on the channel, helps us reach more people, keep everything going. And yeah, I think it's very helpful. And I think it comes from a different perspective. If you guys like the perspective that we share here on the show, I think you guys will really, really resonate with that, because we're the ones who put that together. So it's all in there with a bunch of MP3s, videos. I know Terry's redoing some of those videos in there, and tons of good stuff. So there's all kinds of things to help you get and stay sober. Again, we're not doctors or trained specialists or anything. We're just sharing what worked for us, because it seemed like when we were getting sober, nothing worked and nobody really wanted to show the way. And no one told us about chemical dependency and OCD and how your mind works with this stuff and what the battles are like. They're just, oh, let go and let God. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Can you be any more vague? Like, don't give me a bumper sticker. I'm sitting here ready to drink myself into oblivion, and you're giving me a bumper sticker? This is not bumper sticker sobriety. This is for people who want to know what's going on with your mind, how to understand what's happening, how to change the way that you think about life and change your life philosophy in a way that you don't have to drink anymore. And that's something that's very dear to me. And I like the fact that I worked hard for it, is the fact that I don't have to drink anymore. I don't want to drink anymore. It's not something that even crosses my mind most of the time, because I don't care. I like my life. I like the way I put things up, and I like what's going on. And that's something that, you know, it does take a lot of work, but it's worth it because you own it. It's not like someone gave you a happy life. You worked for it. And that's something that in and of itself you can be proud of, which is pretty cool. So
Right on.
hop on over to talksober.com, and we'll see you there.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Hey, congratulations.